Sterling is a fucking badass because he is Jim fucking Sterling's son. Not because he is, yes, well, I kind of got a bit of an opinion about something here, so, could you not be so mean about it while I say my opinion? No, Jim fucking Sterling's son is like, yeah, I get the monies, and I suck the dick.
The story of Lucifer's fall from heaven is common currency to our Western civilization. The fall of Lucifer evokes images of scale, of conflict, of damnation. The events that are to be chronicled in this video make Lucifer's fall from heaven seem like a walk in the park by comparison. The events we're going to be taking a look at take place on such a grand scale, such an epic stage, that it's almost an injustice to even attempt to make sense of them. The grandiosity of these events is unparalleled in the history of anything ever. So take a deep breath and seat yourself, because this is going to be a journey indeed. For today, yes, today, it's what you've all been waiting for. Here, feast upon my grotesque body horror.
Today's Jahanquisition offers no great solution to a problem that's ravaging the world. It makes no grand point about the video game industry at large. It is, in essence, one random bloke who got annoyed about something last week and spun it off into a big old rant about some stuff that's just been pissing him off in general. And that's fine! It doesn't help anyone, except me, nominally. But that's fine, because I'm the only one who matters, so the fact that this episode helps me out by getting me to vent some frustration is good. It's good! Watch and enjoy. Or don't, it doesn't matter, because you're not me.
This is Jim Sterling, real name James Stanton. He's a British games journalist who used to write for The Escapist alongside contemporaries like Movie Bob and Yahtzee. After parting ways with The Escapist, he took to YouTube, where he puts out an independent series called the Jahanquisition. Anyway, Jim, as of October 2017, takes in about 13 grand a month from Patreon. Other facts about Jim Sterling are that he and his wife are polyamorous, and he literally has a my wife's son. Now, what's that word I'm looking for? Begins with C, ends in K. It eludes me, it escapes me. And if this is your first introduction to Jim Sterling, then you may have noticed the physical resemblance to Jahans. They look like father and son. And make no mistake, Jim Sterling is Jahans' idol, his only in-real-life hero, and it's easy to see why. He earns a lot of money putting out YouTube videos, and he hasn't had to do anything pesky like lose weight or tidy his room in order to make that money. To Jahans, Jim Sterling is the epitome of success. Jahans doesn't aspire to be a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher, or anything noble. He instead aspires to be Jim fucking Sterling's son.
Jim Sterling, a guy who if you like me, but what you want is someone who will use clips and sketches and script things out, you will love Jim Sterling. Because basically, Jim Sterling is me, but video games, shorter, scripted, edited. Like, if you like me, you will love Jim Sterling.
And it's all there in how Jahans behaves. His larger and bolder gestures, his patterns of speech and mannerisms are all copied from Jim Sterling.
Hello everyone, Laura K-Buzz here, and today I am doing a video. Let's get this out of the way. So, I am slightly overwhelmed today because over the last 5 days, almost £7,000 has come in for a fund I set up to get gender-related surgery done privately rather than through the NHS, because the NHS are fucking bullshit when it comes to trans people, and I really don't know where to even begin with talking about all this. Just first of all, I really can't overstate how amazing this has been. The support I've been shown in the last 5 days has blown me away. It's been unbelievable, and I really struggle to know how to process how unbelievably amazing this feels. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everyone. I have the best audience I could ever hope for, and you're all lovely and wonderful.
This is transgender games journalist Laura K. Buzz, born Joshua Dale. Laura K. Buzz collaborates with Jim Sterling on a podcast called The Podquisition, and Laura K. Buzz actually had their transition surgery crowdfunded by a group of Jim Sterling's fans, including our very own Jahans. This marks probably the only time that Jahans has actually given something and not expected anything in return. But why would Jahans donate when his every other act is selfish? Well, we have to keep in mind that Jahans wants to be Jim Sterling. And if you want to be Jim Sterling, you've got to get with his friends. You've got to be the same paragon of virtue that he is. You've got to be the champion of the transgender and anything else that Jim Sterling wants. So Jahans becomes Laura's #1 fan, the closest he can come short of taking Jim's place as Laura's friend.
And then there's Laura K. Buzz. And Laura K. Buzz is someone who, look, I am someone who I can get quite attached to things quite quickly, you know. If I like something, I'm someone who will eat the same thing over and over again because it's just my jam. It's just fits, right? Laura K. Buzz is my jam, right? Like, it's the way she sounds. It's the way that she incorporates some of the sort of laddish, flirtish, crudish, 90s men behaving badly ness with modern feminist LGBTQA+ sensibilities. I was just, yes, Laura K. Buzz, thou art awesome.
But what happens when things don't go to plan? When certain elements go awry and your dreams of becoming Jim Sterling lie on the precipice of oblivion? What happens when Jahans writes a fanfiction regarding Jim Sterling and Laura K. Buzz?
I have finished my Podquisition fanfic. Hey, I finished this fanfic. It tops in at 28,445 words, and it was actually quite disturbing to write at times. People have been asking to kind of say for me to talk about my writing. I think this is a good primer. This is the thing. Read this.
Alright, so we dive straight in to a dramatic reading of the fanfiction that Jahans spent a full day recording. Day will pass into night as Jahans reads his story. His bedroom door wide open for the whole household to hear. Keith won't be getting any sleep tonight.
I am going to be doing a dramatic reading of Laura, Queen of Earth. My now 28,445 word long Podquisition fanfic.
This text is gargantuan, a colossus. This is Jahans' magnum opus. Its length signifies its importance.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will now introduce you to the world of Laura, Queen of Butts. Laura, Queen of Earth. Quasi-canonical Podquisition fanfic by Alexander Gordon Jahans. Dedicated to the hosts of the Podquisition. Laura, Queen of Mirth. Jim fucking Sterling, son. Gavin, Miracle of Sound, done. Let's go.
What an introduction. I am thoroughly hyped.
Jim Sterling and Laura K. Buzz, Queen of Butts, are having a private conversation in an empty room. Gavin enters, long flowing brown hair, devil horns as he enters. Oh man, that was so awesome. I mean, honestly, Charlie McDonald, what an amazing singer. Regenerate me. Come on, it was awesome. And I think they like me so much they want me to be in their band. I'm going to be the Doctor Who band. How cool is that? Laura hurriedly wipes her eyes. Jim says genially, that's really awesome, Gavin. Gavin pauses, studying the scene. Wait, am I interrupting something? Jim tries to placate Gavin. No, honestly, mate, it's fine. Let's grab a drink, shall we?
So we start quite tamely. There is an implied romantic undercurrent between Jim Sterling and Laura K. Buzz that is subtly alluded to. He might even be forgiven if we thought that this was the beginning of a cute slash-fic.
Then the screaming starts. Jim runs towards the screaming. Laura and Gavin follow reluctantly in his wake. Mate, what the fuck are you gonna do? Asks Gavin nervously. I know how to fight, says Jim. And besides, somebody's got to fucking do something.
This is Jim Sterling cast as an 1980s action hero. He's ready to launch himself into danger. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. He's Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Oh, that's cute, says Laura. I mean, you have to admit, she has a great bum. Oh yeah, says Eve confidently. What a great ass. Lucy smiles radiantly. Thank you. I hope that one day you'll both get to enjoy it. Yes, says Eve. I think I should enjoy ramming you in the ass.
This escalated quickly. We are definitely transitioning into a territory that initially this fiction didn't seem to be heading towards. The language here is very crude, but still, we're in a relative state of tameness.
Lucy kissed Amy on the lips. Amy kissed Lucy back. They started snogging, their tongues exploring each other's teeth as their hands undressed each other. Lucy was being very deliberate in her actions, exposing Amy's rear. Amy was lost to the lust, and her attempts to pull Lucy's shirt off failed. Lucy pulled away. She pulled Amy's shirt and bra off her body before continuing to snog her. Amy pulled away and turned to remove her shoes as Lucy sucked at her neck and explored the contours of her body. As Amy kicked off her shoes and socks, Lucy began stimulating her where it counts. Amy rolled back onto her front and mounted Lucy. Lucy's deft fingers worked miracles as she kissed and sucked at the beautiful naked woman breathing heavily on top of her. At last, Amy climaxed in blissful ecstasy.
Jahans has written a very evocative, very passionate sex scene. It's very vanilla, very detailed. As a passage of erotica, it works. It paints a very vivid picture. Quite what it's doing in a Jim Sterling fanfiction, I don't know, but let's roll with it.
Jim watches as Lucy strips the ginger woman completely naked, layer by layer. Finally, the ginger woman drops onto her hands and knees and says, "What would you have me do, mistress?" Lucy pulls out a collar and leash from her pocket, attaches the collar around the ginger woman's neck, and clips the leash onto the collar. "Honey, be a good, obedient little girl and follow, but don't speak, okay? I'll give you lots of hugs later." Jim stares. Lucy turns her attention back to Jim, with a great big grin plastered across her face. "We'll have to try milking her later. Now, what was it you wanted to say?" Jim blinks and shakes his head. One of them's shrinking." "Fantastic," says Lucy. "Those ones are the best." And he began to undress Anna. Jim turned to stare at the wall and hummed his theme tune to himself so he didn't overhear what was going on. When Anna was completely naked and standing on all fours before him.
Okay, so Jim Sterling has just witnessed an act of BDSM, and it is clear that we are now in that world. The idea of naked women wearing collars, it's BDSM, probably no different from stuff like 50 Shades of Grey. But it's entry-level stuff for that world. The only sign of the darkness to come, the oddness unique to Jahans, is a throwaway allusion to milking a naked woman. Now, before we go any further, I just want to set a challenge. Try to identify, in the upcoming extract, try to identify when this Jim Sterling fanfiction crosses a line, becomes irredeemable. Try to identify that it might be hard for you to find, it might be hard for you to pick up on the exact moment. You may have to squint, but just have a go.
Lucy takes a frying pan out of a cupboard, places it on a hob, squirts some milk into a glass, then pours it into the pan to act like oiled butter. Then she finds a large clean knife and a rolling pin. She sticks the rolling pin in the ginger woman's mouth and instructs, "Bite down when you feel pain, honey." Then Lucy slices off a piece of the ginger woman's arse and fries it in the sylph milk. Once it is cooked, Lucy plates up the hot piece of ass and presents it to Jim Sterling. "Bon appetit, mon capitaine." Jim stares into Lucy's eyes, into her soul, and he lifts up the fried buttlet, sticks it into his mouth, bites, chews, and swallows. "Lovely." Then he thinks for a second and says, "Actually, this is really good, holy shit."
Right, so if you've identified then Lucy slices off a piece of the ginger woman's arse as the point of no return, then yeah, I think you're right. The extract starts off almost like an episode of Nigella, and then quickly descends into Jim Sterling gleefully partaking in cannibalism. This is a very Jahanic way to honour your heroes.
"Thank you," said Lucy, and she kissed Jim on the cheek before leaving. Jim stared as the feeling of Lucy's lips lingered on his cheek, wondering if he had missed a golden opportunity. And then he shrugged and ate some breast.
Jim Sterling is now wholeheartedly a cannibal, eating the breasts of young women with joy. Jim Sterling is like a pig in muck, he bloody loves it.
Laura stared at the pint of blood. Eve caught Laura's gaze and said, "No, you are not drinking blood." "But it's a weird thing," said Laura. "I can't not try the weird thing." Eve said, "You can't. It's blood from people." "It's all right," said Lucy. "It's not going to turn you into a vampire or anything." "I'm trying the weird thing," said Laura, and she reached forward, lifted up Lucy's pint glass and took a large gulp. "It's nice. Quite viscous, like cough syrup, but nice."
The cannibalism isn't just restricted to Jim Sterling. Now, Laura K. Buzz is written as an enthusiastic blood drinker, gulping it down like it's a glass of absolute nectar. Bear in mind that Jahans wrote this fiction as a tribute to Jim Sterling and Laura K. Buzz. It's a harrowing insight, isn't it, into the mind of Jahans, that he sees projecting cannibalism onto his idols as A-OK.
"I just want to make sure I'm getting that entirely right." "Oh, they're fine," said Laura. "The girls love it. Slice them open, cut the organ free, whip it out. They heal in moments and say they like it because they feel all tingly inside." Laura casually bit into a sausage.
Laura K. Buzz has gone from having her first pint of blood to now trivializing and joyfully describing the disembowelment of women as she eats dinner. It's the casualness of it all that disturbs.
Lucy coughed and gestured to the glasses. "Cum, piss, shit, tears, spit, blood, vomit. The 7 base ingredients. What we need to do is find what the various different combinations mean."
So now we enter a part of the fanfiction where an apparently scientific series of experiments are about to be conducted. The purpose of these experiments is to find a cure for transgenderism. Note the sensitivity that Jahans displays here. Note the real-world science being applied. Note the presence of excretions as magical transformative cocktails. Note the sheer insanity.
5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of vomit, 1 centilitre of blood. A short, pretty woman steps up. Lucy injects her. Lucy watches as the woman grows a foot taller, as her muscles thicken and her arms and legs become hairier as her chest tightens up and she develops abs. Okay, says Lucy. I think I know what's happened here, but I need to check something. May I please look inside your pants? The woman shrugs. I came in here half expecting to be killed and dissected. Of course you can look. Thank you, says Lucy, and she pulls down the woman's trousers. Interesting. Next, Sally holds up the sack and the woman climbs in.
So the combination of 5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of vomit, and 1 centilitre of blood has turned a woman into a man. The medical professionals of the world need to take notes. They're clearly missing a trick.
5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of tears, 1 centilitre of blood. A tall, beefy guy steps up. Lucy injects him. The man shrinks by a foot, and his muscles shrivel as his hair burns up and his chest flattens while his pectorals inflate and his nipples extend outward to facilitate new pockets of fat. His voice is noticeably more high-pitched. Sir, may I ask to see inside your pants? Asks Lucy. He winks. No problem. Lucy takes a peek and confirms her suspicions, then writes down the results. She prepares 5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of blood, and 1 centilitre of vomit. Then she injects the man. When she injects the man, his body returns to its prior state.
And this combination of 5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of tears, and 1 centilitre of blood can seemingly transform a man into a woman. Jahans has written the cure for transgenderism, and it is in no way is it transphobic. Of course it isn't. All trans people should start injecting themselves with bodily excretions right now. Just make sure you get those centilitres right.
6 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of blood. 4 centilitres of blood, 1 centilitre of cum, 1 centilitre of tears, 1 centilitre of spit. 5 centilitres of shit, 1 centilitre of blood, 1 centilitre of spit. 1 centilitre of cum, 1 centilitre of piss, 1 centilitre of shit, 1 centilitre of tears, 1 centilitre of spit, 1 centilitre of blood, 1 centilitre of vomit.
And now this cure for transgenderism is presented to Laura K. Buzz.
The waiter arrived with the drinks and he wore nothing but his boxer shorts. I do like a place with quick table service, said Eve. The waiter smiled awkwardly and handed Laura and Eve their drinks. Then he sat down beside Lucy. So, what do you want to do with me? He asked. Be still and shut up, said Lucy. You are a prop. Laura clicked her fingers as the penny dropped. This is a demonstration, isn't it? Yes, said Lucy with a smile. Demonstration of what? Asked Eve. This, said Laura. This, said Lucy, as she injected 5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of tears, and 1 centilitre of blood into the waiter. Laura and Eve watched as the tall, skinny waiter became a slightly shorter and skinnier waitress. You've gone and fucking done it, said Laura. The op in a syringe. Oh, this is better than the op, said Lucy. Complete genetic rewrite, and with all the same memories. Thanks to my handy-dandy formula, this man could now be a mother if he wanted to. The waiter's face contorted in fear. And of course, said Lucy, it is completely reversible by way of the counterpart solution. She hit the man with 5 centilitres of cum, 1 centilitre of vomit, and 1 centilitre of blood. His body returned to the way he had it before.
The op in a syringe. The op in a syringe. Now, I'm not an expert on transphobia, but I think that trivializing the struggles that these people go through, the lengthy and numerous operations, the prolonged recovery process, to trivialize that with the op in a syringe which, by the way, is loaded with cum and piss and shit, it's transphobic. It's really, really insulting to these people.
The end. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Gordon Jahans.
There's a real sense of pride here that Jahans displays at having written this smut, having written a piece of fan fiction that would disgust the people it's intended for. Jahans is proud, he's happy. This is his opus. And the next logical step, the next logical course of action for Jahans would be for him to literally put this fan fiction in the hands of Laura K. Buzz. Of course it would, of course. Oh wait, what? What? That actually happened? So why would he write this? Why would a fanfiction about Jim Sterling and Laura K. Buzz be 95% about harvesting organs from sex slaves? Why would he then present it to Laura K. Buzz in public? Why? Why would he do this? I think that Jahans listened to so many episodes of the Podquisition that he saw them all as his friends. The Podquisition was his friend simulator, so surely they would appreciate being written into his various torture and cannibalism fantasies. With Jahans there are massive red flags everywhere, yet he's not taken very seriously at all. Jahans fantasizes publicly about rape, about torture, and even cannibalism of living victims. Pretty much all of the worst criminals signal their acts for years or decades beforehand, yet time and time again it's ignored. The fact that Jahans has no shame and doesn't hide his sick fantasies shows how normalized they are in his mind. This is a huge, huge red flag. It is also worth remembering that Jahans' cannibalism fantasies are written into erotic stories, so it's likely that he also gets sexual satisfaction from them. He admits his fetishes are about the destruction of attractive and successful women, and the sad subtext is that Jahans simply can't stand women with agency because they might reject him, hence his psychological compulsion to reduce them to slaves, to pets, to objects, and most disturbingly of all, things to be eaten. He thinks that if he explains it thoroughly enough, while continuously calling himself derogatory names, then somehow it becomes okay. It doesn't. Jahans has reached such a point now where he believes his desire to torture and eat and murder women is simply about dominance and submission. And the harrowing reason behind him painting those on the right of the political spectrum as the bad guys is because he is dealing with his own disgusting and illegal fetishes. So he projects it all onto the right-wing boogeyman. The shocking truth is that Jahans has latched onto social justice in order to mask and justify his repellent fetishes. Worrying signs that Jahans will become more and more violent in real life are everywhere, but the people around him, those that watch him, keep pretending Jahans is harmless, when he could, in fact, be a legitimate danger to the public at large. In many ways we should be thankful that he is lazy and dependent on his parents, even if he is a burden to them. His fantasies are serial killer tier, but he has normalized them to the degree that when he describes them, the biggest problem he has with them is that they are misogynistic, not that they are utterly disgraceful. The fact that he groups cannibalization, murder and enslavement in with relatively tame sexual acts like spanking is problematic. Like really problematic. He'll continue down this route until he is discovered literally eating the organs of some poor random he met on the street. Confessing so many things normalizes them further. He hasn't been arrested yet, so surely it must all be okay. That may be his cold and murderous logic. But where does the whole cannibalism thing come from? What is the genesis of this cannibal fetish? Fetishes often come out of trauma, and Jahans always describes seeing the film Jaws as a young boy, and that he didn't find it scary, but scarring, like it traumatized and imprinted upon him psychologically, to the point where he self-identifies with the shark. Who on earth identifies as the shark in Jaws? Just think about how much of a red flag that is. I am constantly woken in the night by my own fears that Jahans is a couple of steps away from sharpening his teeth, painting himself grey, wearing a fin-shaped hat, and acting out on his cannibalistic desires on the streets of his own town. I can vividly imagine him running around a local park when the moon is out, in his full shark costume, waiting for a passing female that he may attempt to consume. Almost all criminals believe that their crimes are justified or excusable, and it can be argued that Jahans' fictions lay the groundwork for his design in a Hannibal Lecter way. Jahans wrote a lengthy blog post on Friday the 13th, January 2017, and it disgustingly laid bare all of his degeneracy. In it, he states that his writing helps stop his violent sexual thoughts towards women. His initial reaction to beautiful and submissive women is not affection or arousal, but bloodlust. Jahans also suggests that he likes hurting and destroying beautiful women because they can enjoy their beauty unlike himself. Frighteningly, he believes this to be a normal male urge. And once again, the mainstreaming of BDSM has allowed Jahans to believe that his behaviour is normal, and that a woman might want to be a vessel for his misogynistic rage. So in short, Jahans is one spurge out away from sharking up and committing violent sexual acts on the innocent. Another extremely worrying piece comes from the 27th of November 2015, and it appears to be Jahans' manifesto of sorts for when he goes on his murderous rampage. Excerpts from the piece read, "So I woke the morning after, and I had eaten her alive. I was literally straddling the skeleton with just the hands and feet and the head remaining. There were teeth and claw marks all over her skeleton, and my mouth and chin and hands were just covered in blood and gristle. It didn't take much to put it together. So I hid the body, dumped it across multiple different countries. Not hard when you have a camper van capable of crossing the channel. Then I ran and hid. I burned everything, again, across multiple countries. I changed my name and abandoned my online accounts. If you want to know how I became the butcher of Britain, then the answer is 6 years on the run, learning that I had this great darkness inside of me. A darkness that had lost me my friends and family and the woman I loved. How could I be the same person knowing what I was capable of? In February I would binge. No thought, no class, no style. Just getting shit-faced and tearing women's throats out in a great orgy of hunger and lust. In March I would be the businessman once more. 5 women every week, their skeletons, hair, stomach acid, brains and fecal matter sold to various different parties. Their blood, feet, hands, internal organs, and faces turned into sausages and burgers. The rest would be turned into different meat cuts and eaten throughout the week, with the excess part sold and part frozen for Christmas. You know, Jahans' fiction becomes doubly uncomfortable when he brings it into our reality, and we must never, ever forget that the possibility of Jahans acting on these deep sexual urges is very tangible, and the warning signs, the red flags, have been with us for years.
I've got this feeling that won't subside.
I'm not ashamed of it.
I look at you and I fantasize. You're mine tonight. Now I've got you in my sights. With those hungry eyes, one look at you and I can't disguise. I got.
You know, sometimes I don't feel like dressing up for this. Putting on the tie and the glasses and the gloves and the coat and sometimes the hat and standing here and doing my stuff, you know, the stuff that people love. Sometimes I just want to sit here in a stained t-shirt and underpants and just do it like that, but I don't. I don't because what I've built here is iconic. This is a legacy. This is years of dedicated building of a craft, of a look, of something people recognise and adore. mostly, this is hard work right here, hard graft.
There were about 2,000 members of the unofficial Jim Sterling Facebook fan page, and for some, it was their life. These were adults invested in a Facebook group, and it wasn't necessarily all about Jim Sterling. After Sterling left The Escapist and went independent, he started to distance himself from his fan base, renouncing it, turning his popular Jahanquisition into a safe show that reached a wider range of people through its repetition of catchphrases like "fuck Konami," or a persistent mentioning of loser game developers like Digital Homicide. This dumbing down of the Jahanquisition caused an influx of newer members, more prone to the politics of social justice. Among these new members to the Facebook group was Jahans. And upon entering the group, Jahans posts a 45-minute video of him rambling about an interview Jim Sterling had with Digital Homicide.
Digital Homicide. This is independent games developer famous for the Slaughtering Grounds. Finally did a podcast interview with Jim fucking Sterling's son.
The sheer audacity of this video, and the fact that Jahans put it on this Facebook group, it put a few people's backs up, especially those older members of Jim Sterling's work. But it isn't long before Jahans becomes indistinguishable from the many new members vapidly posting, even if Jahans does come across as incredibly pretentious, and even if he is shilling his videos there. And because of these new members rubbing the backs up of the older, edgier members, a Google Hangout is set up. It's best described as an elite group of crass Jim Sterling fans. And what this group would do is invite individual members of the Facebook group and troll them. There was one instance where a pregnant woman who had a tattoo of Jim Sterling joined the Google Hangout. One of the members of the Hangout said the word faggot in conversation. This caused the pregnant Jim Sterling fan to freak out because she felt that her unborn baby had now acquired that word. That's the clash of fandoms we're talking about here. It's almost inevitable that Jahans gets invited to this hangout, and the members there are ecstatic. This is the first voice-to-voice interaction with Jahans, predating my Discord interviews by about a full year. And the members of this hangout make it known that they watch Jahans' videos. American members are asking him about his infamous "get rid of the guns" rant. As this is all video chat, the Americans even show Jahans their guns, and this triggers him. A certain member instructs Jahans that he should get over himself, asking him where his dagger of self-victimization was. Jahans responds curtly, controlling his anger with a sinister comment saying, "I don't appreciate jokes." With that, Jahans leaves the call. The next day he uploads this video.
One of you fuckers, right, actually fucking somehow got into a fucking video chat with me and said, "Hey, where's your fucking dagger of self-victimization? Yeah, fucking make a mockery of the fucking prop which I nearly tried to fucking kill myself with. Yeah. Fucking fuck you, arsehole. You fucking piece of shit. I don't fucking give a shit how funny you think it is. Alright? You're a dickhead. And you know what? Since you're making a fucking joke out of me being suicidal, I really don't give a shit how you fucking... how offended you may be at me calling you out. Just being fucking clear.
And now we reach our climax. All of the various plot threads are going to be brought together. Everything that has come before will be given new meaning. Any feeling of various parts not being part of a structured whole will be dissipated as we move into our thrilling conclusion. Before I pass the mic to Jahans, I just want to comment that Jahans has gone full Noel Coward, dressing gown on in the daytime, about to regale us with a story, one that actually doesn't involve cannibalism. Jahans wants us to pay attention. He's shaking his drama bell, banging his drum. Rally round, people. This is an important tale of events that will become the stuff of legend to future generations.
Good evening, various people across the grand spectrums, a time in the multiverse. My name is Alexander Gordon Jahans. Now come, gather round, people. Grab your snacks, grab your copy of the Karl Marx Collective, because today I have a fair story to tell you. I have a story of intrigue, of deceit, of trolling, and of drama. I went to a convention, and Laura K. Buzz was in attendance. I got her to sign some shitty piece of fiction that I wrote. There are times, where you meet people who you've heard on podcasts or whatever, and you're like, But this time was like, no. Laura's awesome. Laura is awesome. And it was sometime around there that I had stumbled upon the Shattered, which is that the Shattered are essentially the people who are so broken that they are fans of Jim Sterling. And I joined the Shattered, and I shit you not, one of the first experiences I had when I joined this Shattered group, the unofficial Jimquisition fan group, was I was pulled into a Google Hangouts where one of the first things that happened was I ended up in a hangout with a troll who watched my videos and basically made fun of the fact that I had been suicidal, saying, "Show us your dagger of self-victimization." So that was my introduction to the group. And this place was home. The Jimquisition Facebook group, it was home. And there were rumblings in the firmament. You could feel them within the sort of discussions with various people. You could see it in the amount of shitposts. It was a very subtle thing, but there were rumblings of an earthquake coming. There were rumblings of a landslide, of a tipping point coming. I could feel something coming. There was a change in the air. There was an electricity in the air, a sense of something coming.
Just want to jump in here and remind you all that Jahans is talking about a Facebook page. And the reason why he applies that sort of language when describing it speaks to the fact that this group had become Jahans's life. He was so invested in it that he saw relatively minor, relatively inconsequential events. He saw them as grand narratives worthy of chronicling.
A sense of rumbling. The trolls were coming, the edgelords were coming. There was going to be a clash. Because you see, as Jim Sterling's popularity rose, as Laura's popularity rose, you had one official group for the fans to go to. And you had the fans of Laura, who, were obviously very trans-friendly, and then you had the fans of Jim Sterling, particularly his early period, who were like, anything goes, make jokes about anything, we're edgelords. And people were getting stressed. You would see posts that people were making saying, we're worried, something bad's going to happen, something bad. And we don't know, what can we do? And then it happened. Somebody shared a petition for the British government to recognise an other option in its legal forms. Okay? So instead of it just being male or female, there would be a box for other, basically. It was a simple petition to just recognise other genders. And somebody said, male is cock. Female is vagina. So, this person was told to fuck off. This guy is doubling down and saying, hey, I'm being civil. I mean, I'm only disrespecting your entire existence and contributing to the fact that you are discriminated against in law, but I'm being civil. And he's getting dogpiled and dogpiled and dogpiled and dogpiled. And I'm just like, you know what, dude, this is a lynching. Go. And it's like, dude, just run! Just fucking run! And then you enter a moderator. A moderator who I won't name. So there was this guy who can see this lynching going on, and what he says is, oh, someone's gonna get banned, but it's not gonna be the transphobic person.
I want you to pay attention to Jahans' rage. Notice in a moment how it spills over. He hasn't got his anger under control when talking about these trivial events. He's shouting, he's screaming, he's hitting things.
Stupid fucking idiot! Stupid fucking idiot! Yes, you have just seen these people dogpile on a dude. You have just seen these people lynch a dude. And what is your response? Well, now I'm going to wield my power like a dickhead. Bad fucking move! And that would have been bad enough. But he then creates a blog post. He then creates a thread saying, PSA, trans people, stop being so entitled and let bigots lie. As things are burning, as things are going down, I can see this now. This is the moment, you know. Essentially, I suppose, to go back to the earthquake metaphor, the fault line has opened up, and I can hear the lava coming to rush the fuck out. So I'm starting evacuation procedures, right? Because this is my home. This is my home. This is my people. These are the people that I love and I trust and I care about, and I don't want to see them go. I don't want to see them caught up in the fucking volcanic eruption that's gonna happen. So I create a life raft. I create a group called Life Raft of the Damned, and it is secret. And I am only allowing people in that I know and that I trust. So I am getting my friends out. I am fucking leading this goddamn evacuation, saying, everybody, get the fuck away! There's gonna be a fucking volcanic eruption, you know. Someone is asking, so what should I do if I see someone being transphobic? And the trans people are like, you stick up and you say something, and you educate them. And I say, well, no, leave it to the mods. Because as far as I'm concerned, you leave it to the responsible authorities. This is going to be a secret group with only good eggs. You fucking ignore the trolls, they get blocked, it's gone. I upset someone with that. I upset a trans person that, again, I considered a friend, that I respected, that I still respect. Because you're silencing trans people! And then I went to bed. And I was freaking out thinking, people are going to call me transphobic, people are going to call me transphobic. But I had to sleep. I had to sleep. And that is when this friend who had blocked me, who had issues with me that they wouldn't tell me about, posts a massive splash page saying, look at this guy. Do you think trans people are safe with him? And she's sharing my Laura K. Buzz fanfic. This is a fanfic, by the way, that includes people being turned into cattle and carved up and eaten alive. I care for Laura K. Buzz, and so I'm writing this story with all this insane shit going on. I wanted to include a simple thing within the story that trans people could take that would make their physical bodies resemble their internal identity. But this is where somebody, the person who had been disagreeing with me earlier, chimes in and says, "You have a cure for trans people?" By this point, Laura's a mod. And she deletes it, right? And which causes another problem, as it's like, fuck. Because of course people assume it's me, and a guy who I'm friends with is like, "Did you just delete a post where you were accused of being transphobic?" And I'm like, "No, hell no, I did not, because that's not what I do, and because I know, sure as shit, that is the last thing that you fucking ever do." But Laura's done it because she's recovering from her operations, right? Because the shattered group, the Jahanquisition group, with all its problems, with all its faults, had funded her to get the surgery so that she could have her physical body reflect her gender in her individual gender. Except, if this is a revolution, then the Queen has sided with the rebels, stepped up to defend them, and the Prime Minister has come up and chopped her fucking head off. Right? They ban Laura, and it's like, you fucking... Because of course, the moment you do that, the moment that happens, boom! Out goes the volcano. Lava spewing from the sky, ashes going everywhere. It's the end of days. It's the fucking end of days. The mothership is sinking. It's taking on water. She can't take it, Captain.
So that's the gist of it, really. Jahans latches onto Jim Sterling's Facebook page, tries to make it all about himself, writes a disgusting fanfiction in order to gain prominence in that community, and then the next time he speaks up, a member of that group, quite rightly, points out that he is transphobic, providing evidence from that fiction. And then Jahan spins all of this into a victim narrative about how he has been slighted, how he is completely innocent, and about how he is a martyr.
And the JQ2 was set up. And once the original Jahanquisition group was gone, that was it. I made a post basically saying, "That's okay, guys, you can leave now." And I have seen that the new mods of the new group are trans people. Of course, entirely, of course. But particularly of note was one trans person in particular. That was the trans person who had made the post saying this group isn't safe because it was created by the writer of this piece of appalling fiction. So I knew I didn't belong there. And according to this person who is at the head of this group, I'm transphobic. If I walk in those doors, I'm gonna be bullied. Because I'm transphobic, aren't I? I deserve it, don't I?
Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I must be strong.